Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the Real Housewives of New York City, Season 13, Episode 3, A High Rate of Interest. All right, we are still in the Hamptons. It is the next morning after the Burning Man party. Well, the Hamptons version of that anyway. And the ladies are just waking up. Sonia and Ramona are in bed together with Marley and Coco. And we just see Sonia sitting up, nudging at Coco. Coco. Coco's like sound asleep. Ramona goes, don't do that. She's a heavy sleeper. Sonia goes, well, how do you know she's alive? Oh, Sonia. She's a 38-year-old dog. She will never die. I guess this is just a waking up montage because now we have Lou going into Leah's room. Leah's trying to unbraid her hair from the party. And Ebony is downstairs in the kitchen trying to figure out how Ramona's coffee maker works. Without posting it on Instagram, by the way. Everybody's kind of processing the Burning Man party because, it was a lot. Sonia thinks it was good that Ebony was able to be vulnerable in front of them since she doesn't know the ladies very well yet, which is exactly why Ebony was able to be vulnerable. You think she's going to get vulnerable with them after she gets to know them well? No. I wouldn't. Luann now heads into Ebony's room. Hey, girlfriend, have you got a nail file? And she said, I think I do, actually. She goes and brings it out for her. And now Luann's just sitting on Ebony's bed, filing her nail. And she's like, where did you go last night? It's hard to make an Irish goodbye with only 5 people. Yeah, thank you, Lou. That's what I said. And Ebony said, oh, I didn't mean to be rude. Luann, you had a good time, though, right? And Ebony said, I did. There were some parts of the day that were a lot for me. Luann, like? Ebony, well, Michelle, the waitress? Are you kidding me? The waitress? Is she for real right now? I mean, look, I guess we should ask Michelle, whose title is hospitality director, but my guess is that she wouldn't like being called a waitress much more than the help. I'm sorry, that was kind of surprising to me. Listen, I get that waitress doesn't have the history behind it that calling someone the help does, but I also think that her diminishing her role to waitress when clearly she was doing a lot more than that at Ramona's house is also a little demeaning. So that just surprised me. Anyway, Ebony explains to Luann that Ramona kept calling her the help and she kept getting her name wrong, which, that is definitely true. That's rude. And it's also very Ramona. Luann goes, oh, I know, but that's kind of part of the package with Ramona. Then we get a very cringy montage of Ramona's greatest hits, going all the way back to 2011. Basically, it's every trip they've ever gone on where Ramona is asking the staff to unpack her suitcase for her, either carry it up the stairs or unpack it, and that is Ramona. And then is it the trip to Mexico? I believe when Ramona walked into the house and the staff was all lined up and she said, oh my gosh, how many helpers do we have here? It's like servants galore. That happened. We see her forgetting her own date's first name to the ultimate cringe fest of all time. And this was not just Ramona. It was that charity event with that woman, Bridie, for bringing awareness to children who have been sexually assaulted. Oh my God. It was Dorinda. It was Sonia. It was Ramona. But I guess we're just concentrating on Ramona right now. And Ramona calling her Brittany? Birdie? Oh, Bridie? Honestly, getting her name wrong was the least of it. Dorinda, I think, was the worst. Whatever. It was hauntingly cringy. And finally, we see the date she was on with that guy when she goes, Enrico. What do your friends call you? And he's like, Enrique. Yeah. So anyway, Luann is trying to say that it's just the way Ramona is. Ebony said, no, I get that. I'm not trying to beat up Ramona. It's just that for me, my grandmother that I spoke about last night worked her whole life as a domestic for white families. She took care of their kids, cooked their food, ran their households, but yet she was just considered the help. And she says, thank God Michelle was white, though, because if she had been black, I would have had to pick up my Louis duffel and head home. Luann goes, I don't think Ramona meant anything racial by it, though. Ebony said, no, I don't think so either. It's just that the terminology is just seeing people as less than. Okay, so now everybody is getting ready for the day. They are going to a winery, and Leah comes into Ramona's bathroom. She and Sonia are in there getting ready. Ramona does a double take. What the? And Leah goes, oh, do you like it? She's wearing like camo pants that have different like prints on them, animal prints on the pocket and stuff like that. And her top is a zebra print, but it's black and tan. Ramona, I'm not sure. Leah goes, well, you're wearing a fur vest and heels and pants and everything matches the same color. Ramona, faux fur. It's faux fur. Leah goes, whatever. Ramona, you look like Tarzan. We're not going on a safari today. Could you just put on like a white t-shirt or a black top or something? So all the ladies are getting into the van now. And Luann says hello to the driver and asks him his name. And then she's like, oh, I'm Luann. In Sonia's confessional, she goes, my, Mrs. de Lesseps, you've come a long way. We get the flashback to when she and Bethany were getting in a car and Bethany introduced her to the driver. Oh, this is Luann. And they got in the car and Luann was beside herself. I mean, if you're going to introduce me to the driver, at least refer to me as Mrs. de Lesseps. Yeah, that happened. But of course, she just had a talk with Ebony, so I'm sure she was trying to impress her with the fact that she doesn't treat anyone as less than. Meanwhile, Ramona goes back inside to change because the day is very warm, and once she gets outside, she realizes it's too warm for that big fur vest. So she goes inside, and she changes into a leopard print shirt. After accusing Leah of thinking she's going to a jungle safari. Oh, God, that was funny. Anyway, on the way there, Leah said, so are we going to work out tomorrow? And they're like, yeah. And she said, are we doing Garth tomorrow? Sonia, don't say, are we doing Garth? She's doing Garth. In her confessional, Sonia said, I don't have a problem with Garth. I'm sure he's great. It's just the way Luann acts around him, like a teenager. Then we get a flashback to the two of them riding up to the Hamptons together and Luann going on and on and on about him. He's my COVID flirt. He's from South Africa. He has a lovely accent. I know, he's too good to be true, am I right? I met him on Hinge. He likes to cook. He used to play rugby. I mean, it is never ending. In her confessional, Sonia's like, okay, reel it in. Let's just get this over in a hurry, because we know where this one's going. Okay. So in the van, Luann is rattling off the itinerary for the day. I guess she has planned the day for the ladies. She said, we're going to go to the winery first. And they've got little appetizers there, lobster rolls, things like that. Then we're going into Greenport to do a little shopping. Then we're going to the amazing American Beach Hotel for dinner. You know, everyone's excited about the day. Luann then says, boy, last night there was a lot of sexual energy, huh? Was there? You mean at the Burning Man party? For 5 people? All ladies? Okay. Leah goes, I got a dick pic last night. Sonia, from someone you know? Hey, like... Do you remember? I think it was Sonia that got a wrong number dick pic. And she was kind of like keeping up a conversation with the guy. Anyway, that just cracked me up. From someone you know? Luann goes, I would hate it if a guy thought it was okay to send me a picture of his penis. And Leah goes, what about you sending him a pic? Luann, I don't send pics of my vajayjay or my boobs. Ebony goes, I don't even I don't even send a picture of my face. All right, so at the winery, they sit down at the table. Ebony and Luann go to find the restroom. And while they're gone, Leah asks if Luann is okay with being at a winery. She and Luann are sober, but Luann's only been sober for a month. Ramona, yeah, she's cool with it. Leah's not so sure, though, and she thinks it's a bad choice. But it was Luann's idea to go there. I don't know. She and Leah order, like, water and lemonade or something. And then Luann goes and runs to the car to get her bottle of Fosé, the non-alcoholic rosé that she's so in love with. So the server comes, and she says her name is Lindsay, and they're ordering lobster rolls and things like that. And when she leaves to go put the order in, Ramona said, I remembered her name was Lindsay. Like, she's very proud of herself for that. And that's the perfect segue for Ebony. So Ramona, and she goes, yeah, I love what you said about Lindsay and remembering her name. Ramona goes, yeah, I know there's a but in there. Am I in trouble? Are you talking about yesterday with Michelle when I called her Diane? Ebony said, well, yes, but really when you called her the help. It was triggering for me, if I can share why. Ramona says, of course, but she has such poor listening skills that I'm afraid she's going to talk through the explanation. And already, actually, she is just trying to apologize. Like, she doesn't want to hear the story of why you're upset. Let me just get to the part where I apologize, because that's where this is going to end up anyway, and I don't want to have to hear about everything I did wrong and how it made you feel. That's my interpretation of, like, what's going on with Ramona. She's uncomfortable. In fact, it might even trigger something in Ramona to be corrected or to feel like she did something wrong. The problem is when you try to get over that feeling by just apologizing right away and not hearing the person out, two things occur. One, the person who's offended doesn't feel heard or doesn't feel like you care what they have to say. And two, you are destined to do it again because you don't understand the why behind what hurt that person in the first place. If you're not willing to, like, hear them explain it to you, how are you going to stop yourself from doing it in the future? So Ebony does tell her about her grandmother being a domestic. And she said, do you know why the help is maybe not the best way to refer to someone? And Ramona goes, yeah, I get it. Ebony, so you get that then? Yeah. I'm not so sure she does get it. Ramona said, I call her that because I hired her to help me. And Ebony's like, okay. I mean, that's like a very literal interpretation of it. All right, I guess I can understand why you called her that. But historically, the help can make people feel devalued. Now, in Ramona's confessional, she said, I love that Ebony is explaining to me in a non-condescending way why that word isn't cool. I get it. I'm not stupid. Okay, so there is a trigger there, right? She said, I just sometimes have a slip of the tongue. So moving on, Leah starts to say, it is just so crazy that we are living in this pandemic. And she's like, I feel like we're all going to get it. And then she said to Ebony, well, you had it, right? And she said, yeah. And Ramona, you did, and you donated plasma, right? Okay, Leah. Ebony said, did you have symptoms? Because now I think Ebony wants to talk about what it was like with another person that also had COVID. But of course, Ebony is ignored again, and mostly because Leah has an agenda, a very passive-aggressive agenda. Ramona tells the story that she told at the reunion last year that I was in Boca with my ex-husband and my daughter, and they were offering testing. And they were offering testing for COVID at the Boca Beach Resort. I just wanted to go to know if I had it or not. And it turns out that I did, so I got sick. Leah, and then you donated your plasma, right? Sonia, oh no, she did not. It wasn't on Instagram. Okay, so this is a very vague and shady answer. Ramona just nods. She says, they took something because when I was at the center, they said I had very strong antibodies. Okay, so they took something? What, like, I don't know what she's saying. Sonia goes, what'd they take? Leah says you have to do it over and over again. I don't know anything about what it's like when you donate plasma for this. Leah seems to think it's a process where you have to go a few times. Then we see a Daily Mail headline. Side note, where's Reality Blurb? Did they drop the ball on this one? I kid. Daily Mail is also another one of our favorite Housewives news sources. It says Ramona Singer reveals that her and daughter Avery tested positive for COVID-19 antibodies, and they have since donated their plasma. I mean, that's really no other way to interpret that other than they donated their plasma. It's pretty straightforward. So Leah said, did you donate your plasma or not? Because that is a very big statement. Ramona, no, we did. We went there. We went to the center. Leah, but it's a big process. They test you for antibodies, and then they have to flush the red blood cells back in. Ramona, Leah. And she's looking at her like, shut up now. But Leah is a bulldog here. She is going to get to the bottom of this right now, come hell or high water. She said, Ramona, did you donate blood plasma or not? That's what I want to know. Ramona, again, I got tested and I had very strong antibodies. Leah, getting tested and donating your plasma are two different things. Ramona, I don't want to have an argument. In Luann's confessional, she's like, Ramona is so obviously lying. Her face is red and she's dodging questions. Leah won't let up. She's like, if you didn't, it's very unethical. I think you should say you didn't. Just say, I thought I did, but it turns out I didn't. So she's almost kind of giving her an out. And side note, I think that's exactly what happened. I really don't think Ramona knowingly lied to make herself look better, more charitable. I don't think she's that scummy. I know some of you in the comments are going to be like, seriously? She is that scummy. I think that a reporter found out that she had the antibodies and asked her if she donated plasma, and she thought that they did when they were tested and said yes. And then this article comes out, and then it became a whole thing during the reunion last season, and she got in too deep. And now I think it's obvious to her that she didn't, but instead of coming clean or admitting that she made a mistake, which is a trigger for her, I think, she's doubling down on the lie. I mean, listen, if she and Avery had donated their plasma, she would be explaining the process to Leah right now. Bottom line. She's not going to be cagey about it or give oddly vague answers. You know? Anyway, this is driving Leah insane. Ebony said, I feel like just now she admitted that she didn't do it. That's what I heard. And Leah goes, you're looking at me angry now, Ramona. You're the one that did all this. Ebony said, do you want to take the opportunity right now, Ramona, to say I didn't donate? Ramona, you read what I said, so why are you challenging me? Wow. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I would have, at this point, if I'm Ramona and I got myself in that deep, I would have broken down crying and saying, I thought I did. And it got away from me. This lie then snowballed, you know? I couldn't keep it up. She said, why are you challenging me? And Leah said, because I think you're lying. Now Ramona has moved on to tactic number 2. If tactic number 1 was deny, 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 tactic number 2 is deflect, deflect, deflect with indignant outrage. You gave me the finger. That was disgusting. You're a vicious girl. And we quickly move on to tactic number 3, flee the scene. She gets up from the table. I should say that Luann and Sonia were also chiming in with their comments, doubting her. And so maybe she felt a little ganged up on too. I don't know. She's really only mad at Leah, but Leah will not take her foot off the gas. So Ramona goes to the bathroom and Leah is now getting mad at everybody at the table for not having her back. They did. I don't know. Maybe she wanted everybody else to also drive it home to Ramona how disgusting that it is that she's claiming to have done something as selfless and helpful as donating her plasma with the antibodies to people who need it the most, that are dying from COVID-19. I think that's what she is so outraged about. Leah's like, I want her to admit it. And Ebony said, no, you want her to apologize for it. She goes on to tell Leah that your approach is to beat her over the head with it, but you're never going to get the results you want that way. I mean, of course she's right. So Luann gets up and she goes to find Ramona. And they're eating outside at this vineyard. So she goes in the building to go check on Ramona. And she's like, Ramona, Ramona. And you just hear, I'm on the toilet, for Christ's sake. Luann, do you need some help? Ramona, no, I'm having diarrhea. Oh, God. Luann just looks at the girl behind the counter and she goes, I'm sorry you had to hear that. Meanwhile, back outside at the table, Sonia said, when you're dealing with someone like Ramona, you can't put her back up against the wall. She'll get defensive and lie even more. Well, yeah, I mean, I think we just saw that happen. Luann comes walking back outside. Well, Leah, you gave her diarrhea. So Ramona sort of comes back. She's standing away from the table, leaning on a counter, and she's like scrolling through her phone. So Luann goes over to her again. Ramona, are you okay? Ramona, yeah, I just had to check some documents. For a second, you guys, I almost thought it was going to be like her proof to Leah that she donated plasma. I mean, obviously, what was I thinking? But like, wow, you're scrolling through documents on a girls' trip? I don't know. Anyway, Luann's like, well, okay, but they're over it, so come on back to the table. Ramona, so I'm not going to sit there because Leah keeps attacking me. Luann goes, yeah, but if you stay here, you kind of look, I'm not guilty of anything. You know what I'm guilty of? I thought you just said you're not guilty of anything. So, no. Opening my house to her, and she's being a bitch. Luann goes, well, okay, but like I said, they're over it. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Is it safe in there? Ramona gives kind of a, yeah. Oh, God. That's not comforting. So Ramona goes back to the table. She doesn't sit down. She just says, I'm going to go for a walk and check out the area. Sonia said, oh, I'll go with you. Leah, I love how this is turning out to me being the enemy just because I'm trying to get to the truth. Sonia goes, I just need to hold her hand for a minute. She's licking her wounds. So Ramona and Sonia go off together. They start talking about Leah having anger issues. And Ramona said, she makes up lies about me. Okay, well, listen, I don't love Leah's approach. I'm not defending it. But what lie did she tell? She just asked you a question. I mean, which, by the way, you could have shut down immediately by describing what it was like when you donated your plasma. Sonia, it's a cancellation clause these days. Oh, my God. While Sonia is trying to think of the term cancel culture, which doesn't even apply here, by the way, Ramona says, I invited her to my home. I heat up the pool to 95 degrees for her. Oh, that was for Leah. Sonia doesn't hear any of that because she's still trying to figure out cancel culture. So cancel everybody, cancellation. Yeah, it's not coming to her. Ramona, screw her. Dressed like she's going to some safari. She looks like a fucking zebra. She looks like an animal. Sonia, well, so do you. Remember, Ramona had changed into a leopard shirt. For those of you who hadn't watched this episode, Ramona is also wearing a leopard mask. So she says she looks like an animal. Sonia said, so do you. Ramona, but she's got 10 different prints on. Sonia, so do you have 10 prints? Ramona, no, just 2 prints. Leopard and leopard, and they're different colors. Sonia, your glasses are a 3rd print. Ramona, no, they're all leopards. This is really the conversation. I'm not making that up. Then she kind of roars and screams, and the 3 who are back at the table kind of look up, and Ebony goes, I'm not going over there. Ramona screams again, and then says she feels better. So, okay, Burning Man was good for something. I'm just not sure everybody else at the winery feels better right now. Leah's like, wow. Just wow. And Luann goes, yeah, maybe the healer stuff is coming out. Leah, in her confessional, said, I know I'm not going to get Ramona to admit that she made a mistake, but every time I look at her, it's going to be in the back of my mind. So as Sonia and Ramona are walking back to the table through the winery, Sonia says, oh, look, we've got some hot guys here. Now, I saw no hot guys. I don't know if you guys saw any, but what we do see is an older, balding gentleman who says, Lady in white, you look amazing. That would be Sonia, who replies, really? You like my body? The guy, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Please stop this conversation. So anyway, he made Sonia's day. As they're coming back to the table, Leah had gone to the restroom now, and Sonia's just going on and on about this. Yeah, he thought my body looked amazing. Didn't he, Ramona? Ebony goes, you do have an amazing body. And Ramona goes, yeah, he said you're beautiful and you have an amazing body. Ebony, okay, so listen, Ramona, all of that aside, all the stuff about Sonia's beautiful, amazing body aside, I thought you and I had a good conversation earlier. And Ramona said, yes, absolutely. Ebony, did you feel good about it? And Ramona said, yes, I did. So Ebony said, good. And you listened, which I appreciate. I didn't think she listened, but, I guess everything's relative. And Ramona appreciated that she brought it to her attention without attacking her. Side note, Leah was pretty passive aggressive. Her plan all along was to out Ramona, right? And so to say, yeah, and you donated your plasma, right? I don't know. There's a better way she could have talked to her about it. Anyway, Leah gets back to the table, and then they all decide to kind of drink up and put some lobster rolls in their Birkin bags and head back to the van. Okay, back in the van again, they are now heading to Greenport to do some shopping. And Sonia, they brought their wine, I guess, in the van. Sonia is pretty tipsy at this point. It seems like it kind of came out of nowhere. Luann's sitting next to her and she's talking into her phone quietly. And Sonia said, who are you talking to? Garrett? If I have to hear the name Garrett again, I am going to kill myself. And everyone's like, it's Garth. So they get to Greenport. Luann says there are a lot of cute little outdoor restaurants and shops they can go to. And it's only a half hour from Sag Harbor. Sonia's not doing great. She's pretty messed up. Everyone's buying stuff in these stores except for Sonia. In one shop, Ramona says to Sonia, I'm going to buy some sage and sage the house before Heather gets there. Sonia, oh, geez, is she invited? You invited her? Leah said, Heather's coming as a punching bag. She doesn't know what she's about to walk into. In Ramona's confessional, she said, Leah has me second-guessing inviting Heather. It was a silly podcast. Who cares? Well, maybe Luann when she finds out that Heather said she does hard drugs. Anyway, fun fact alert, Ebony used to work at Hooters when she was 17. We get to see a picture of her looking adorable. Ramona told everyone that they were having oysters the next night, and Ebony said, I haven't shucked an oyster since my days working at Hooters. Luann tries on this top with these giant, oversized, puffy sleeves, and she decides she's going to wear that to dinner that night. Also, she has it on in one of her confessionals, I think. So she must really love that. Sonia is now wearing Luann's vest that she came with, and she's talking about being with Luann because Garth isn't there. In Leah's confessional, she said, I don't know if Sonia wants Luann for herself or if she wants a guy like Garth for herself or both. Luann wants to buy Sonia the same puffy sleeve top that she has because she just wants to do something nice for Sonia to try and get her to cheer up. Sonia's being kind of self-deprecating. She said, no, it looks better on Luann. And everyone's like, no, it doesn't. So Luann said, I don't care what she thinks. I'm buying it for her. And they both wear them to dinner. Ramona kind of tells us now in her confessional that Sonia's drinking too much and that worries her. Then Sonia tells Luann, I hate Garth. It's going to be a fun workout the next day. All right, next they arrive at the restaurant, American Beach. And I guess the ladies have a private bar. Again, weird choice for someone who's 1 month sober. But maybe Luann booked all this before she got sober. They're ordering their drinks, and Ebony said, I'll do a French 75 with Hendrix. And everybody, including me, said, what is that? Ebony said, it's gin, elderflower, and champagne. Sonia just orders rosé. Side note, who was drinking rosé and Coke? Was that Sonia or Dorinda? I just remember how disgusting that was. It might have been Sonia. At least she just ordered rosé. Sonia says to the bartender, I'm just going to stick with rosé because 2 of my girls here are sober. So I want to be sensitive to that. The bartender goes, of course. And Leah goes, but you're drinking rosé. Oh, God, it's so funny to me. And Sonia goes, yeah, but I'm not like, give me a martini. Okay. I guess that makes a difference. I don't know. So Leah orders a low-calorie mocktail. And Ramona said, can we get a dozen oysters to start? Ebony said, oh, that sounds great. And Sonia goes, and shrimp, 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 shrimp. Ebony teases her, yeah, you don't want shrimp, and like kind of nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Sonia, oh, I don't like a big dick. Then Ebony, like so serious, goes, yeah, there is such a thing as too big, right? Sonia, too big is just a nuisance. Can't make this stuff up, people. Finally, someone wonders where Luann went, and we see her outside having a cigarette. I think that was outside. She's in like a hanging chair. I don't know where that is, but in her confessional, Luann said, my nerves were just on edge at this bar. I felt tempted. Okay, so not a good idea to be there. Ebony tells everyone she had such a great day. She's like, I really did. I'm not used to being around this many white women, if I'm being honest. Sonia, yeah, be honest. Ebony says, yeah, I am. I connected with everyone, and I just really appreciate that you made space for me. And Ramona goes, yeah, why did you leave last night? And Ebony said, yeah, I wanted to explain that. I mean, you were all having the best time, and then the stilts person came out. Stilts person. She just said, I just didn't want to like be a party pooper and spoil the fun by saying good night, good night, good night. And so I just kind of ducked out. While Ebony is explaining that to Ramona and Sonia, Luann came back. She's sitting down next to Leah, and she's quietly kind of telling her that she needed to go outside for a break because she was having a hard time at the bar. Then she grabs a wine glass and just kind of downs it. And Leah goes, but it was just Luann's fosé. And Leah said, you know, I think maybe you're pushing yourself too much. Luann goes, no, I'm okay. And I can tell Leah's trying to be gentle here. She said, do you think, you know, drinking out of a wine glass is... And Luann goes, it helps. Leah finally says, you're not going to like me saying this, but I feel like this, and she's pointing to the wine glass, is hurting you. Well, Luann didn't like that. She got defensive. I was actually wondering the same thing, though. I don't know about alcohol, but I do know about trying to lose weight. And finding all those like healthy versions of unhealthy comfort food is not always the best thing to do. You're better off eating differently and breaking from the pattern of those kind of foods. Like, I don't know, if there's a healthy version of potatoes or something, it never tastes as good as the real thing, and then you just end up really craving the real thing. So I kind of know what Leah means by, you know, this fake rosé. You're sitting at a bar, it's in a wine glass, it's all the same kind of behavior. But anyway, Luann gets defensive and she said, well, you're having a mocktail. And Leah said, it's not the same thing at all. It's seltzer and grapefruit juice, and it's just a regular glass that you would like put pop in. In her confessional, Leah said, I'm trying to be respectful, but tell Luann that having a wine glass of fosé in your hand at all times, she's closer to having real rosé than she thinks. And part of getting sober is getting used to not having that. So Leah says, hey, can we sit at the table yet? Because they're all still at the bar. And I'm sure she's thinking sitting at a bar, too, isn't helping anything. So they go to the table, and Ebony's getting a skirt steak. Sonia says she's going to get one, too. I want to be like my girl. I want the biggest steak they have. I want a big bone. Is that okay to say? Is it PC? Leah's like, why would that not be okay? Sonia, I just want to be myself. I don't want to be a cancel constellation. Leah laughs and Ebony goes, no one's going to cancel you. And then Luann goes, oh, that's what I was trying to think of earlier. Cancel culture. Sonia, cancel culture. Ramona, why would we want to cancel culture? Yeah. Ebony explains cancel culture to Ramona and said, we don't do that in this group. We talk things out. As the ladies are ordering, Sonia said, I love Leah and Lou for not drinking. I wasn't drinking before, but then I decided to say, okay, I'll drink. Ebony said, I don't want you to feel pressure to drink. Sonia, oh, I have no pressure. Of course not. Luann goes, does she look pressured? Then Ramona grabs Sonia's drink and moves it over right in front of Luann. Anyway, Leah said, okay, so we need a plan for tomorrow. She's referring to when Heather Thompson gets there. And she starts to pull up all the things that Heather has said about these ladies. Leah's reading now from her phone. Heather Thompson shares her thoughts on Sonia Morgan's new face. Likes first face better. Sonia, guess what? I have a real brand and I like all my faces. Luann, where does she get off talking about us? Leah, oh, about you, she said, there's nothing authentic and you were doing drugs. Luann, great. Well, my first instinct is to say you're uninvited because of all the things you said about us. But on the other hand, I think we should let her come and just give it to her. Leah couldn't be happier, by the way. She's smiling and laughing, very proud of herself. Luann, who does she think she is? That bitch. So now they're talking about working out the next day and having oysters. Ramona said, I found out that Ebony likes oysters too. Then Luann asks if everybody wants to FaceTime Garth. Sonia, I don't want to see Garth again. I'm done with Garth. I've had enough Garth. Garth. Luann, hey Garth, hiya handsome. Sonia, oh Jesus, he picks up on the first ring. She's so disgusted. So Garth is like, is there anything I can bring tomorrow? Luann, we don't need anything but you. In Ramona's confessional, Luann was acting like a little girl. He has nice eyes and a nice smile, so I'm happy for her. Then Ramona gets her face in the FaceTime, and then she tells Garth, I like the way you make my girlfriend light up. Luann, oh, that's sweet. So she's like, we'll see you tomorrow. And they hang up. And Sonia's yelling, Leah gets up at 8:30. And she's leaning over, and it's right in Ramona's ears. She's like screaming this. Ramona yells at her about that. And then the next thing we know, Sonia is on her phone FaceTiming with her friend William. What are you doing? And William's like, oh, look at those shoulder pads. I almost forgot. She's wearing the exact same top that Luann is wearing. It's just weird. Sonia, Luann bought me a top. Ramona says to Luann, she got jealous that you were on the phone with Garth. So they hang up, and Sonia tells the ladies, the thing is, I have my own connections to how things work. You guys, she is so trashed. Luann goes, okay, enlighten us. Sonia, people don't understand. We need to protect the poor because the stocks are going up and the poor are getting poorer. The homeless are getting homelesser. So this guy, supplier of diversity. Now, Ebony understood that whole thing that Sonia said. And she goes, what's his name? Sonia said, William. We did AIDS PSAs forever. Ramona, she's out of it. Sonia, what matters is my cause. Not what's over here saying, oh, whatever. I don't know what's happening here. Then as the server is dropping off the food, Sonia screams, I've raised millions for AIDS awareness. Ramona, wow, look at the swordfish. It's so big, I can't eat it all. Leah comes back from the restroom and she's like, oh, the food's here. Sonia, hello, William. Yeah, she called him again. Ramona, oh, she's calling him again? Stop with the drinking. Sonia, Now, William, you speak. You just hear William. Are you okay? Sonia. I'm great. Ebony. Can I talk to him for a second? So Sonia's like, my friend is going to talk to you. Ready? Here she comes. And she hands her phone to Ebony. Ebony, you work for JP Morgan Chase, right? He says, yeah, I run global supplier diversity for, and she goes, perfect. I think it's 30 billion Chase has just recently put in to closing the wealth gap. Sonia, yeah, we did. Ebony, I love you, dear. Now, I don't know if she's talking to Sonia or William. Either one would be a little bit odd. But she said, and by the way, I'm about to get my first mortgage with Chase, too. Side note, no one has ever held someone else's phone closer to their lips than Ebony is doing right now. Pandemic or not. So Sonia and Luann clap for some reason, I guess because Ebony is getting a mortgage? I don't know. And Ramona says, Wells Fargo has better rates. Ebony nods her head and said, they do have better rates. Sonia's telling Ramona to shut up, and Ebony said, no, wait, listen. You're right, they do have better rates. But Chase is doing something to close the wealth gap for my people, and I want to honor that. Sonia screams, proud people, and literally shoves Ramona. Someone yells, stop, that's too far. I think it might have been Ebony. Sonia screaming, shut the fuck up. You want to talk about Wells Fargo? Now the pitch gets so high I almost can't hear it. She says, don't insult my family. Insult JP Morgan. Okay, this is another, you don't touch the Morgan letters. Right? Ramona yells, stop the drinking. Sonia yells, what's wrong with you? Back at Ramona, and it's a to be continued. Oh my gosh, you guys. I will say this, the season is picking up. The first two I thought were a little boring. I was like this much kind of worried about New York, but I should have known that my ladies will pull it out eventually. And, you know, episode 3 was a little bit getting back to what we're used to with the ladies. But, yeah, that is where we're leaving it this week. So thank you guys very much for joining me. As always, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And don't forget to leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys. I really do appreciate every comment I get. And that's it. I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.